nylon or whatever.
Yeah.
So he really seriously tried to like have me naked, man. He came into the trailer and I was sitting down, right? He's standing over me like this. And he's like, I don't appreciate that, man. I don't appreciate that. We should talk about it.
Right.
Me and you outside, because it looked like you need to get something off your chest, right? And then Jada was like, oh, no, y'all. And I was like, what do you mean, nah, y'all?
Tommy Davidson just let it all out. And the one co-star he couldn't stand might shock you. From being humiliated on the set of In Living Color to nearly throwing hands on Booty Call, he says what Jamie Foxx did cut deep. So I turn around for 2 seconds, he recalled, and boom, it was like that. But it didn't stop there. Tommy also had a strange, heated moment with Will Smith that's never been fully explained. And behind the scenes, he was fighting with networks like BET and Disney for basic respect, all while getting dragged for jokes about gender and assault. But the darkest part? Tommy's finally opening up about surviving childhood sexual abuse. That pain ran way deeper than Hollywood ever knew. Tommy Davidson been making folks laugh for decades. From In Living Color to Booty Call, his comedy stayed iconic. But behind all that humor, he was dealing with some real messed up moments in Hollywood. In a raw, no-holds-barred interview, Tommy opened up about the tension he faced with big-name stars, especially Jamie Foxx, who once threw shade saying, "Is that why you get paid double what I do?" And Will Smith? Yeah, that situation got weird too. There's a lot y'all never saw. Tommy Davidson's stories pull the curtain back on Hollywood's fakest smiles, where everything looks fun on screen, but behind the scenes, whole different vibe. Tommy sat down with Vlad TV and let it spill. He said from day one, his chemistry with Jamie Foxx was shaky. While fans thought they were the perfect comedy duo, Tommy made it real clear it wasn't sweet like that at all. He said the tension hit early. During their very first skit together, there were red flags from the jump and folks just didn't see it. People might assume the drama started later on, but Tommy says nope. The bad blood was already bubbling while they were still cracking jokes for the cameras. One of the most heated moments? A sketch that still gets people talking to this day. The sketch was called The Ugly Woman. Fans loved it. Jamie Foxx played a wild, loud woman chasing Tommy Davidson's character who just wanted out. On screen, it had folks cracking up. But behind the scenes, it got way too real. Tommy revealed something disturbing. During that skit, he had to wear tiny nylon shorts, like Speedos, as part of the costume. It was already a vulnerable setup. Then came the moment where his character had to run. And that's when things went sideways. Tommy said Jamie tried to pull his Speedos clean off in front of the whole crew. Man, he really seriously tried to have me naked, Tommy said. What was supposed to be comedy suddenly felt like a setup. The crowd laughed, but Tommy didn't. That moment stuck with him, and not in a good way. None of that was scripted, not even close. Tommy had to clutch those Speedos tight just to keep from being exposed on stage. He felt humiliated, straight up blindsided. In that moment, he said all the respect and safety he thought he had on set, gone. What Jamie did didn't just cross a line. Tommy said it made him feel violated. He was this close to snapping. Man, for 2 seconds I turned around and I was like, the anger hit hard. Tommy admitted he thought about swinging, really throwing hands right there in front of everybody. But in the end, he held back. He didn't want the situation to explode even more. What was supposed to be a harmless sketch ended up turning into a moment that felt personal, raw, and straight up wrong. Tommy said if he had swung on Jamie, that moment would have been burned into Hollywood history, and it could have wrecked both their careers. It took serious self-control not to snap. Choosing to walk away wasn't just restraint, it was survival. That one decision said everything about the pressure he was under and how deep the damage really went. He didn't want to be labeled as the guy who threw fists on set, even if he felt totally disrespected. Years later, in his 2020 book, Living in Color, What's Funny About Me, Tommy opened up even more. He gave Jamie his props as a talented dude, but called him out too. Said Jamie was super competitive and that his humor, it could get real mean. the type that laughs at people, not with them. Tommy said Jamie figured out real quick that clowning him got laughs from In Living Color creator Keenan Ivory Wayans, so he kept going, even when it clearly hurt. Tommy felt like Jamie was chasing approval by tearing him down, and it stung. It wasn't playful. It felt like bullying masked as comedy. Years later, when they reunited for Booty Call, things still weren't cool. Time hadn't healed a thing. Tommy said the vibe on set was off. Jamie didn't like being seen as the side character. Instead of working as a team, Tommy felt Jamie was doing the most to hijack every scene, like he had to be the main one on camera. It was clear, Jamie wasn't trying to share the spotlight. Not then, not ever. Things got heated between them, for real. Jamie challenged Tommy to a one-on-one basketball game. It started off chill, just two actors messing around. But once Tommy started winning, 9-0, the mood flipped fast. Tommy said, as he went up for a shot, Jamie slammed into him out of nowhere. It wasn't playful. It felt like a straight-up cheap shot. Tommy believed if he had hit his head on the pavement, he could have been seriously hurt, maybe even killed. The rage hit instantly. He was ready to throw down right there. But the film crew jumped in and broke it up before it got ugly. For Tommy, it was another moment where things turned dangerous. Jamie's behavior made him feel unsafe again. The beef ran deep. After the book dropped, Tommy spoke even more in an interview with Page Six. When Page Six asked if Jamie ever reached out after the book, Tommy kept it simple. Nope, never heard from him. But he also made it clear he wasn't out to bash anyone. This wasn't about revenge or shade. He told his story to help people, to show what he survived and how he pushed through. The book wasn't about pointing fingers. It was about healing. Tommy said he wanted readers to see his journey and maybe find some strength in their own pain too. And now, he says he's at peace. No more bitterness in his chest. The anger's gone. In that same interview, he shared that he even ran into one of the Wayans brothers not long ago, and there was no drama at all, just love, like the weight finally got lifted. There's still a level of care between them. Tommy said he's learning how to find happiness, even if the world never bends in his favor. That shows he's trying to move forward, even after all the chaos he went through in Hollywood. But he didn't hold back about the pressure of working with Jamie. Tommy said every actor on set had to grind twice as hard just to keep up. Jamie came in with non-stop energy, always trying to be the top dog. And that energy, it pushed everyone around him to the edge. At times, it was just too much. Tommy admitted it wasn't easy being around someone that competitive 24/7. It created a tense, high-stress environment where support and respect felt like an afterthought. And for Tommy, that only added fuel to an already messy situation. But Jamie Foxx wasn't the only big name Tommy had drama with. He dropped a shocking story about Will Smith, too. It went down during the filming of the 1998 movie Woo, where Tommy starred alongside Jada Pinkett Smith, Will's wife. Tommy admitted Jada had this vibe, something magnetic on set. In one scene, they had to kiss, just acting, nothing wild, but apparently Will wasn't feeling it. Tommy said Will pulled up to his trailer unannounced, stood over him with this tense, aggressive energy, and hit him with, "I don't appreciate that." No explanation, no context. Tommy kept asking what was wrong, but Will wouldn't break it down. Just stood there, biting his lip, looking tight. The energy, straight up uncomfortable. Jada was right there too, trying to cool things off. Tommy said he didn't even realize why Will was so upset. Not until 15 years later. That's when he finally learned the truth. Will had a problem with that one kiss scene. And get this, Tommy said the kiss wasn't even planned. The producers threw it in last minute. No warning, no rehearsal, just go. It made everything feel awkward, especially for Jada. But even though it was part of the gig, Will took it personal, and that tension lingered. Before putting the story in his book, Tommy did the respectful thing. He called Will's longtime friend, Charlie Mack, and asked if it was cool to tell it. Charlie said yes. Both sides gave the green light. Tommy added the story to show how in Hollywood, even a split-second scene can blow up into a real-life problem. Tommy truly believed Will's anger came from not realizing the kiss was strictly acting. He said there was no bad intent. It wasn't personal at all. But since Jada never fully broke it down to Will, the whole thing spiraled into a messy misunderstanding. Tommy remembered the moment like, "We should talk about it." And Will just hit him with, "What do you mean?" Then silence. "Nah, y'all tell him." Some fans who heard the story weren't mad at Tommy. They pointed fingers at Jada. One even commented that they loved Tommy Davidson and thought it was foul that Jada didn't clear things up. All it would have taken was one conversation, but instead, it became a decades-long question mark. Some fans called Jada's silence childish, saying Tommy never deserved the heat that came his way. It proved how even outsiders can see that in Hollywood, things get messy fast. One tiny moment can blow up if folks don't keep it honest. And just when you thought Tommy's behind-the-scenes drama ended there, nope. Let's talk the Proud family. He was the voice behind Oscar Proud, the loud, hilarious dad everyone loved. The show was a major hit with both kids and grown folks, but off camera, Tommy said the experience wasn't so joyful. He opened up about major issues with the executives running things. He didn't feel respected or paid what he was worth. And the names behind the drama, big dogs like Disney and Fox, Tommy believed he was the one who gave Oscar Proud his magic. But the studio didn't treat him like he mattered. The show made big money, yet he said they never showed him real respect. One quote hit hard: "I created that character. They didn't see the value in us." What he meant was clear. He poured his heart into the role, but because he was a black man speaking on black family life, they downplayed it. He wanted Oscar to represent a real, loving black father, something powerful for the culture. But to the execs, it was just another cartoon. The message didn't matter, and it didn't stop there. Tommy also spoke on a quiet but heavy tension with Spike Lee, a clash over comedy, not loud but deep. Another reminder, even among legends, the politics never stop. I knew what the subject matter was going to be. I knew the film would be Do the Right Thing. Spike Lee built his name on powerful, serious films about black life and struggle. But Tommy, he came up through comedy, bringing joy, laughs, and light into the room. That's where the tension hit. Tommy felt like Spike didn't fully respect black comedians or entertainers who made folks laugh. He once cracked a line that stuck: "Spike Lee don't laugh unless it's at a revolution." That said it all. In Tommy's eyes, Spike only rocked with serious, heavy messages, like comedy didn't matter. It was a quiet but clear divide. Spike wanted to show the pain of the black experience, while Tommy wanted to remind the world that love and laughter were part of it too. Tommy wanted to show the world that black folks can be brilliant, strong, and still have a damn good time. He hated being looked down on just because his gift was comedy. There was no public blow-up between him and Spike Lee, but you could feel the tension in interviews, in shade, in how they spoke on each other's work. Then came another clash, this time with BET, a network supposedly for black audiences. But Tommy wasn't buying it. He felt like BET wasn't pushing smart, meaningful comedy. Instead, it was all corny scripts and over-the-top acting. He called it buffoonery disguised as black entertainment. That hit hard. To him, they weren't lifting up the culture. They were clowning it for views. Tommy fought hard for black comedians to be seen as smart, not just thrown on stage for cheap laughs. But speaking that truth, it ruffled feathers. Folks at BET weren't happy. Some producers, and even fellow comics, didn't like that he aired it out publicly. It sparked real drama behind the scenes, especially on shows like Comic View, where Tommy once performed. Some comedians had his back. Others said he was going too far, calling him bitter or difficult. Online, the backlash grew louder. In interviews and podcasts, people started picking apart his words, saying he came off as disrespectful or out of touch. One moment that stirred major heat, he made jokes involving rape, and that crossed a line for many. Even in comedy, some topics hit too raw. A lot of listeners felt Tommy crossed the line, and badly. When the backlash hit, he pushed back saying, "Comedians are being canceled for no reason." But many weren't buying that. They argued that joking about something as painful as sexual assault is never okay, no matter the context. His comments lit up social media. People called him out hard for being careless and tone-deaf. One clip had folks furious. How many people turned 15 in that apartment in 1 week? Another line, "Mexico's not on the moon. It's a country with a culture," came off dismissive. And then came the LGBTQ+ backlash. During stand-up sets, Tommy cracked jokes about gender and pronouns like they, them. And it didn't sit right with parts of the crowd. Some felt disrespected. Others just walked out. People online, especially on TikTok and Twitter, now X, weren't feeling Tommy's style anymore. They called his jokes outdated, even mean. Critics said his punchlines made people feel unsafe, ashamed, or mocked for just being themselves. Some longtime fans even flipped on him, saying they were disappointed. They expected more from someone who's been in the game this long. Times have changed, and folks want respect, not cheap shots. Tommy, on the other hand, fired back at what he sees as cancel culture, the idea that one wrong joke can end your whole career. He says it's unfair, that comedians should have the freedom to say anything, no matter how uncomfortable it makes people. In his own words, comedy's supposed to be uncomfortable. But not everyone agrees, and now the room feels divided. That's the point. If you're not mad, I'm not doing my job. That's how Tommy sees it. But not everyone's clapping for that mindset, especially younger comedians and influencers online. They say he's ignoring how some jokes can really hurt people. To them, it's not just about shock value anymore, it's about growth.
About it.
Right.
Me and you outside, because it looked like you're gonna need to get something off your chest, right? And then Jada was like, "Oh, no, y'all. And I was like, "What do you mean, no?" I mean, so for 2 seconds, I turned around and I was like,
Left in the trash by your biological mother.
"Yeah,
Right.
I was left in
But
Mississippi,
found by
a white
woman. Yes.
who was from Wyoming."
The truth is, I was arrested for failure to pay parking.
Tommy's bold stance has sparked arguments with the new wave of comics. Many believe you can still be funny without mocking trauma or stepping on people's identity. They're pushing for comedy that hits without harming. But Tommy's refusal to shift his style, that's made the backlash even louder. More and more voices are calling him out, saying he's stuck in the past and refusing to evolve with the world. In a deeply personal moment, Tommy revealed in an interview that he was molested by several men when he was just a young boy. There's a part in my book where I said I was abused by some men, he shared. It's the kind of truth most people carry in silence, but Tommy chose to speak up. As a child, the pain was too big to process. He didn't give many details, explaining that most of the memory is a blur, but the impact never left him. Tommy explained that his mind blocked out most of the memories, something that often happens when a young child goes through deep trauma. He said he knows it happened, but can't recall the exact place or who the men were. "I don't really remember, like in detail, but I do know they came at me sexually." He shared that it wasn't just once. It happened multiple times with more than one man, and they were strangers, people he didn't even know. That made it even harder to process. There's no clear timeline, no face to attach it to, just fragments. Tommy doesn't remember if it happened at school or somewhere else. The memories are scattered, blurred, and that, he said, is how his brain tried to protect him from the full weight of the pain. Tommy made one thing crystal clear: just because he can't remember everything doesn't mean it didn't happen. "It don't say nothing about me, it says something about this crazy society," he said. In his eyes, the real issue isn't memory. It's the world that allows stuff like this to happen in the first place. Childhood abuse, he said, is a problem this society still refuses to face head on. That trauma changed him, especially as a father. It made him hyper-aware of how dangerous the world can be for kids. He's determined to protect his own children from ever going through what he did. And to Tommy, sexual abuse isn't just a personal issue. It's part of something much bigger. He said it's just as real, just as widespread, and just as damaging as racism or classism. That sexual abuse piece is just as real as racism, Tommy said. He explained how the world talks loud about race and money, but barely whispers about child abuse. It's a quiet crisis, happening more than most realize. And to him, it's all connected. These aren't random problems. They're signs of a broken system that keeps failing children. For Tommy, facing the past isn't about staying stuck in it. It's about understanding it. What's important for me is that I understand my picture, he shared. That means looking at the pain and the joy, the setbacks and the growth. All of it. Because to truly heal, he knows he's got to see the full picture and use it to move through life with more strength, purpose, and peace. Once Tommy understood what shaped him, he felt like he could handle anything life threw his way. I grew, he said, and that growth helped him learn how to deal with pain without letting it break him. He even used a funny image to explain it. He remembered that iconic scene from a superhero movie, the Hulk slamming a villain over and over into the ground. That's how he sees it now. Life might come at him with pain, anger, or old wounds, but he fights back like the Hulk, strong. When bad memories try to creep in, Tommy said, I just go bam, bam. And just like that, life backs off. It gives him space to smile, play with his kids, or just chill with a hot cup of coffee. Strength looks different now. Tommy ended with a real message. Yeah, anger, self-hate, and pain still try to creep in sometimes, but he don't let them stay. Instead, he chooses joy. He puts his energy into what really matters: peace, family, and love. Go hang out with your kids, go to Starbucks, just have fun, he said, smiling. The past was painful, no doubt, but Tommy's living proof that healing is possible and strength is quiet. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more right here on GOSSUP.